Hello, I'm Robert, and I'm the founder of Doomsday Debunked, where we help people who are scared of various doomsday stories by just telling them the way things are as they are, without any sugarcoating. Because there's so many things just hyped up and nonsense and scary, and they're just not true. So this is how to check an asteroid story. If you go and look in Google News, then sadly Google News run stories there that are fake, completely fake. If you search for NASA asteroid warning, the first 100 results are all just fake news. NASA has never issued a single asteroid warning, and you would hardly believe that from Google News. So this is an example of one that you might find. So you've got scared of this story, you go and look it up, and this is what it says, and says, the title says, Asteroid 2019 UJ3 may hit Earth on Halloween Day. Countdown begins. That is fake news, as we will find out. So how you find out? You've got to find the asteroid name, and you copy and paste it, or you can just type it in, but that's a quick way to do it. And that's how it explains that. One, find and copy the asteroid name. In this case, 2019 UJ3. It's going to be a year, 2 letters, and a number. If it's not in that format, then it's fake news anyway, unless it's an asteroid name. You sometimes get things that are just random jumbles of letters and numbers that they claim are an asteroid. That's just made up. So then, you've got to find, you click on this link and it'll take you to my search page. Now this is just a non-techie interface to the NASA Center for Near-Earth Object Studies webpage. And if you go, I can show you that in a bit later what it's like. So you just go here and click and paste, and it'll get the data from NASA. And it says here, object 2019 UJ3 was not found in the Sentry table or as a removed object. It asks, have you entered its name correctly? And if you have, then we know that it is completely harmless, it just made up, it's nonsense. So if you have, and then to check that you've entered the name correctly, click through to the ESA page. So it says here, page at ESA. There. So you click through there, and you will find in a minute that it is indeed a genuine asteroid, and you got the name right. And there we are, 2019 UJ3. They leave out the space, that makes no difference. It's just the way they do it. And you click down, it says object is not in risk list, not in priority list. It's a completely harmless asteroid. And sometimes, as we go back here, sometimes you don't find it in the ESA page. I mean, they say ridiculous things. Sometimes the Daily Express has said that Ceres, the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, and Vesta, and for both of those they've claimed that we had a risk of being hit by those, and they're just orbiting permanently between Jupiter and Mars. They're absolutely no risk at all. You sometimes get things that are not in the ESA page at all, but if you go to JPL, they'll normally find those. So you go to the JPL page instead. Go back here and click on the JPL browser page, and there you find it. Now this one sadly doesn't have a little note saying not in risk list, but if it isn't there and it's in the JPL page and you've got the name right, then you know that it's absolutely fine. You really don't need to go any further there. Just check the page exists. If you're quite techy, you can find out some very interesting information. Now this is the end of it. You now know that this was fake news, fake asteroid news, and you now take a note of the place where you found it, which was News Nation. We now know that News Nation publishes fake asteroid news. It said it may hit Earth, and this is not true. It's fake news. So, and that is how you check whether it's fake news. And you can also, if you go back to that page that I just showed, it has a link saying show asteroid, show observations. So I've explained this about how this works. You go to that observation page, and you can see all these observations that have been made of this asteroid. This is a very recently discovered asteroid, 2019. This shows the date, and that is the time, 19.35 0936. It's the fraction of the day. They use fractions of days, which you could convert into hours and minutes if you wanted. And then this is the position in the sky. Any astronomer would know what that means. And then any observational astronomer who sets up his telescope to look for things in the sky. And then this says who found it. And then that's just a reference. And you see it's been it was observed on first observed on the 19th, 20, 22nd, 23, 26th. And sometimes you get gaps when for some reason they didn't see it. And look, I mean, this is probably, see, like Great Shepard, some of these amateurs, these are not always, I would expect that's probably an amateur, I'm not sure. You can double check. You can search for it. So some of these, Pan-STARRS is quite often the first to find it because it's a big, very sensitive telescope that looks at the skies. But once they've found it and they've got this point and they say, look here, and then they have a prediction in the minor planet centre, then amateurs can go and focus in and look on that spot in the sky and they can see it with their small telescopes as well. So it's completely in the open. Every single observation that anyone finds of this asteroid will pop up on that page. So as I say, I put a note on that date, position in the sky, observatory, reference, done in public for anyone to see, and experts then can put these observations, they can just take these numbers, put them into an appropriate program to find its orbit, and then predict where it's going to be in the near future, and then they do very complicated programs, very detailed, careful ones, that take account of all the planets, not just that and the moon, but also the larger asteroids as well. About a dozen or so largest asteroids are also included. They include all the gravity of everything. Anything that could affect it. And they also have error terms to take account of where it could be nudged a little bit by the heat of the sun and so on, and they try all that. The minutest effects that could be relevant, they take account of everything. So, now, when you get to that page, that I just showed you, where you search for it, if I go back there, so the search for object, then you might find that it's a removed object. So these are all the removed objects. I'll show you the removed objects. And it's there. These are all the objects, some of the objects that have been removed. See, in each year, every year, they keep adding objects and then they remove them. And they've removed a total of 2,369 objects. And I think there are about 900 left. So they're constantly finding objects and then removing them from the Sentry table. Like 153 so far this year have been removed. Some of them are removed soon after they're found. So sometimes the sensationalist press will run a story about an asteroid that has already been removed. So then you'll find it there. And sometimes they'll run a story about an asteroid that is in the table but it's harmless. And so now if we go up to tracked. Oh yeah, let's go back here. So I follow this page properly. So I've talked about the removed object. It might say it's in the table, and if so, give details. And I gave the example of Apophis, which, if you go and look here, Apophis is on top in the list. This is 370 meters. That's quite small. It's big enough to really. That could take out a city, but it does if it were to hit a city. But it's not going to have any global effects at that size. That's about the size of this one. And I think even on a city, it's not like the whole of London would be destroyed by such an asteroid. It's just a bit of it would be. But it would have broken windows over most of England as a result of an asteroid like that. So this is, but this asteroid, we don't need to worry at all about this asteroid because we click on it, click on the asteroid, and you can also search for the asteroid by name by just typing in Apophis. And it actually gives you a link to my debunk. So if I've got a debunk, I pop it up there. And if you look at it, then it can't be, the first date it could hit is in 2060. The odds against a hit on that date are 10 million to 1. And when you have, despite what it says in the movies, million to 1 things just, they don't happen. That's extremely rare. So it's expected to miss. But it's very easy to deflect. Now we will know better in 2029, and if you click there you can find out all about that, about how we will know better in 2029 after it does a close flyby over Earth, which we know very, very exactly, and after that we will have a better idea, because it goes through, it's very sensitive when it goes past Earth. It's very sensitive to the distance from Earth. That affects its orbit for the next several decades. If it goes even 100 meters closer, 100 meters further away, if it goes very close to Earth, all of that is taken account of, and the Yarkovsky effect, and those keyholes. You get these people suggesting that the keyhole could randomly appear in space. No. The keyhole is when an asteroid comes close to Earth, like Apophis does. And you don't need to be afraid of those either, because they are all completely taken account of. But that's why we need very sophisticated programs to do the very detailed predictions for many decades in the future. Very, very careful work. And they have a lot of experience, and they've done it for a long time now, and they know what they're doing. So that's Apophis, and so you have those three possibilities. Either it's not there at all, many of them just aren't even in the table and have never been hit, or they are a removed object, or it is in the table and then you click to the table and it gives details. But the quickest way to check, and really all you need to do, is just go to Tracked on that page, and if it says no asteroid or comet warnings, then that means any news story you've seen is fake. That's all you really need to do. You don't need to do the rest. And this is my interface into the NASA page. If you go to there, go to the NASA page, then it's all very techy and hard to understand, all this stuff, if you're not an astronomer or some background in maths. But all you need to know is look at the last one, Torino scale, and that number says whether it's a warning or not. So 0 means no hazard, and I've translated that, and so I just put no hazard there. All I've done is turn the 0 into words. I've suggested to NASA that they change the 0 into words on their table, and it was handed on to them, but nobody's done anything about that. I think it would make it much easier for the general public if instead of having that 0 they just put no hazard there, because that's what it means, but they haven't done that. So if it's a 0 it means no hazard, if it's 1 it means normal, if it says 2 it means meriting attention by astronomers, and none of this still, and same for 3 and same for 4. 4 is the highest it's ever got. At 5 it starts to be a serious, it's called threatening. At 5, 6 and 7 it will be on your news for the day, and everyone will be talking about it, probably at the earlier numbers as well. At 8, 9 and 10 it's a definite hit. It doesn't mean it's going to be harmful if it's going to hit, because it could hit right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and just be a splosh. Indeed, most of the small asteroids will hit in the oceans. The ones that don't hit in oceans, most of them will hit in deserts or ice fields or maybe forests. And of those that don't hit there, most will hit in agricultural land, and out of the 100 next asteroids to hit Earth, we will be hit by small asteroids. We get hit by them every century or so. No city has ever been hit by an asteroid that we know of, not in any recorded history since as far back as recorded history goes. So there is an obscure, you get small things, a little hamlet in Mexico where I think 14 people or something were killed by an asteroid last century, by a very small asteroid. So that sort of thing does happen, but your risk is very, very small, even for that sort of thing. You're far less risk than some people get killed by lightning every year, and then people get killed by lightning, and many people get killed by lightning every year, and quite often people get killed by hailstones. The last time in the US was in 2100. The last time anyone was killed by an asteroid in the United States is a very dubious, in fact it's a fake news from the 19th century, and we don't have any records of anyone dying on an asteroid. We have a record of one person whose hip was damaged by an asteroid in the United States. And we have 3 reindeer herders that were killed in Siberia, and a few other cases like that. It's very, very rare to be harmed by an asteroid, because most of these small asteroids, they just hit in the ocean or a desert or somewhere else. And in the next, I think it's about, yes, so if in the next 10,000 years or so, we might expect one asteroid to hit in a city. But every century or so we get hit by one of these small asteroids, maybe a little bit more often. Maybe in the next 8,000 years, then we might get one asteroid hits a city if we don't do anything about it. and most of them will land in the ocean or desert. So that's, you click find out more about asteroids, you can click that link and it will tell you all that I just said and some more stuff. And so it's important that it's good that we're following them, that we're keeping track on them, but you shouldn't be scared of these things. I mean, your personal risk, it's like being scared of a hailstone whenever you go out of your door. And really, I mean, these people shouldn't run these stories, but we can't stop them. And they're the same people that run stories about, that someone that, I don't know, giant tripod creatures are rampaging around a Russian city and killing all the residents, and just completely fake news, ridiculous things they say sometimes. Anyway, so that's that.